Let me go into my car and get my headphones.
I'll follow you. I'll let you back in.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot. I parked over on the side because this place.
It was packed up.
I think you're doing this next week.
I gotta get the what's it called, the Google Drive, whatever it's like all the logos and stuff.
You got it. There you go. This should work.
And Brandon asked for the link, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna put it on there.
Okay.
Here you go. 3 people. Yep.
Appreciate it.
Is there any games that's like looks like it's going to the half?
The closest to was Pacelli, where they're about to end first quarter, and Harris County was also about to end the first. They're about that commercial right now.
And Carver and Spencer are in a weather delay.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's the only one that's in a weather delay. I mean, the weather is the same. It's probably
because none of those schools are super far from each other either.
Yeah. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Halftime Update Show with Richard Holdridge, presented by the Beck Center. We want to thank Roger Beck for allowing us to be here, the Center for Academic and Athletic Excellence. They have gone to the half at Diemel Field, and it is Pacelli leading Tattnall Square 14-6 as they are trying to get in the win column and pick up their first win in the home debut of first-year coach Smitty Grider. Pacelli took one on the chin last week, losing to Stratford Academy. Tattnall trying to pick up their first win. They lost to Brookstone. And some of the other games that we have, the game that actually started the night, the 63rd Annual Heritage Bowl. They had a lightning delay. They are in the second quarter, and the Carver Tigers lead the Spencer Greenway by a score of 14-0, a touchdown run by Zach Watts. But Spencer's defense, they're going to need to get somebody else besides C.J. Starr because it's been all C.J. Starr in at tackles. Sebastian Hurd has looked fantastic. The ground game with Jacoby Caslin and Kelston Popcorn Tarver, and the Carver defense has been as dominant as they were last year as the championship team. They have just a great defensive end, Tristan Givens, who got in on a sack. Meanwhile, up at Callaway Stadium, Troup County leads the Harris County Tigers by a score of 21-0. Both teams 1-0 on the season. Troup County got a big win against Villa Rica, and Harris County got a big win against Manchester, as this is a rivalry game with teams that have aspirations of being championship contenders. Also, underway up at Ram Stadium, as this is the fourth and final game that we have on Georgia-Alabama Sports Live. Valley leading the Glenwood Gators by a score of 14-0, as Valley trying to avenge that loss last season when they were up 20-0 and fell to the Gators 21-20. Here's a look at some of the action around the Chattahoochee Valley. We're going to go ahead and start with Thursday night because we had the game for you on Georgia-Alabama Sports Live. How about the Smith Station Panthers and the coaching debut of Coach Blair Harrison? What a win. What a performance by the Smith Station Panthers as they defeat the Shaw Raiders 24-0. They are 1-0 for the first time since 2019, and they play Valley next week in their home opener, trying to go 2-0, getting ready for the backyard brawl in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the Shaw Raiders fall to 0-2, and they have got to go on the road to take on Athens Academy next week. Another team in action. How about the Kendrick Cherokees? 2-0 for the first time since 2014. Coach Mayo, Coach Emmanuel Brown has got this team poised, ready, believing they could win. They get the 13-8 win over Best Academy after beating the Walker School. They beat Best at Memorial Stadium last night, and they will go on the road in Roberta next week to take on Crawford County before they start region play. We did have a game that got rained out, Columbus and Greenville. That will be postponed at a later date, and Hardaway was on the road. They lost to Booker T. Washington by a score of 7-2. Around the area, as we have got Jordan and Bremen. Bremen up big on the Jordan Red Jackets by a score of 49-0. It is Valwood that's leading Brookstone by a score of 17-3. Valwood was the runner-up in 3A in the GIAA, and Brookstone, a tough task having to go on the road. First time that Coach Ian Headley going on the road. A lot of momentum going into this game after defeating Tattnall Square last week by a score of 49-6. But Brookstone, they're going to need some help if they want to try to get back in that game. It's early, but Russell County trails Carroll 7-0. And we'll try to keep you posted, give you more score updates throughout the night. Thank you for watching the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Halftime Update Show with Richard Holdridge, presented by the Beck Center. Again, thanks to Roger Beck We appreciate everything that he's done. We're going to go ahead and send it back to Dave Plata and Austin Allen at Diemel Field. Take it away, guys. And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Beck Center. It's the Georgia Alabama Sports Live halftime update show with Richard Holdridge, presented by the Beck Center. We want to thank Roger Beck for allowing us to be in this incredible place, the Center for Academic and Athletic Excellence. We are at the half up at Callaway Stadium as Troup County leading the Harris County Tigers by a score of 21-0. As both teams trying to go 2-0. They come into this game 1-0 on the season. And we still have not gone to the half at the 63rd Annual Heritage Bowl. where Carver leads 14-0. There's about 3 minutes left to go in the second quarter, and Spencer has the ball. There's been a touchdown run by Zach Watts, Tristan Givens with the sack, and the Carver defense has been as dominant as possible, but now Carver's got the ball as Sebastian Hurd in at quarterback. We'll try to get you back there at the half. There was a little bit of a lightning delay. That was the game that actually kicked off the 4-game slate that we have on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Start of the third quarter, and it is 14-6 as Tattnall trailing the Pacelli Vikings. And also we have another game that is getting close to going to halftime. They're actually in the second quarter, and Glenwood trails Valley by a score of 14-0 up at Ram Stadium. Some of the other games around the Chattahoochee Valley. Valwood leads Brookstone 17-3. Brookstone, after getting a big win over Tattnall Square 49-6, traveling down to Valdosta to take on the 3A runner-up in the GIAA. And we also have another score update for you as the Jordan Red Jackets are in their opener. They are on the road against Bremen, and they trail 49-0. Over in Ozark, Alabama, Russell County opening up the season, and they trail Carroll 7-0. That's early on in that game. And taking a look at the action from yesterday, how about the Smith Station Panthers? 1-0 for the first time since 2019. Coach Blair Harrison picks up his debut game as a victory over the team that he was the AD and the coach for several years, as Smith Station defeated the Shaw Raiders at Otis Spencer Stadium by a score of 24-0. Cohen Thomas was sensational. He had a touchdown run. He had a touchdown pass. And Smith Station will take on Valley in their home opener next week. And that game, they're trying to go to 2-0 before they get ready for the backyard brawl. As for Shaw, they fall to 0-2, and they will take on Athens Academy next week before they start region play. And how about those Kendrick Cherokees? 2-0 for the first time since 2014. A 13-8 victory over Best Academy. And Kendrick is getting ready to travel to Roberta next week, where they will take on Crawford County before they start region play. Some of the other updates from last night: Columbus and Greenville were supposed to play. However, that game got moved to another date because of the lightning delays. They just couldn't get the game off. And then Hardaway played on the road against Booker T. Washington, and they fell in that game 7-2. Right. One thing I want to make mention: Calvary Christian on a bye. They will take on Mount DeSales next week. It will be their home opener. Northside on a bye. They are going to be taking on Northgate up in Noonan, Georgia next week. We've got a ton of games next week for week 3. Don't forget to watch the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show, where Thrift and I will drop our rankings, and we will tell you where we're going to be for week 3. But it has been exciting. Once again, we have Troup County at the half, leading Harris County 21-0. We're going to send you back to the action at Callaway Stadium. Take it away, Rick Beach. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Halftime Update Show with Richard Holdridge, presented by the Beck Center. We want to thank Roger Beck for allowing us to be here in this incredible Center for Academic and Athletic Excellence. Want to thank Roger Beck. We are at the half at A.J. McClung Memorial Stadium in the 63rd Annual Heritage Bowl, and the Carver Tigers, they were able to get a scoop and score right at the half, and they currently lead Spencer 28-0 as a touchdown run by Zach Watts as well. And the Carver defense has been dominant, not allowing Elijah Fudge to get anything going, especially in the passing yards and the ground game. And it has been all Carver Tigers in the Heritage Bowl. And I tell you what, I mean, it's been a lightning delay in this. This was the first game of our 4-game series today, and that was in a lightning delay for about an hour. And we are currently at the half as the Carver band is playing right now. But I'll tell you, it's been a great night for Friday Night Lights. Let's take a look at some of the other games as we're about to start the third quarter up at Callaway Stadium, and Troup County, 1-0 on the season after defeating Villa Rica, leads Harris County 21-0. Harris County, fresh off their 17-9 victory over Manchester. Both teams 1-0 coming into this game, and a huge rivalry game, two border counties, and Harris County's got some work to do. They trail Troup County by a score of 21-0 at the half as they are getting ready to start the third quarter. Over at Rams Stadium, the Valley Rams, trying to avenge their loss from last year at Glenwood. They currently lead the Glenwood Gators by a score of 20-0. And so that game is approaching halftime. Start of the third quarter as the Pacelli Vikings leads Tattnall Square by a score of 14-6. And this game was 7-6. Pacelli ended up getting a late touchdown right before the half. How about the Brookstone Cougars? They were down 17-3 in this game, and they score 20 unanswered points to lead Valwood 23-17. Also, they were down 7-0. Russell County has scored 14 unanswered points, and they lead Carroll by a score of 14-7. And Bremen leads Jordan 56-0. A tough road contest for the Jordan Red Jackets in their opener. We do have some action that happened last night. We had this game on Georgia Alabama Sports Live down at Otis Spencer Stadium. How about the Smith Station Panthers? 1-0 for the first time since 2019. The coaching debut of Coach Blair Harrison as the Smith Station Panthers defeat the Shaw Raiders 24-0. They have a chance to go to 2-0. Next week, they will be hosting Valley at TC Britton Field Panther Stadium, trying to go 2-0 in 2 weeks. They got the backyard brawl against Central, and then Shaw 0-2. They have got to go on the road and play Athens Academy before they start region play. And the Kendrick Cherokees, 2-0 for the first time since 2014. They beat Best Academy 13-8 at A.J. McClung Memorial Stadium last night. And Coach Mayo's team gets ready to go on the road in Roberta to face Crawford County for a Week 3 matchup next week before they start region play. Some other games of note, Columbus was supposed to play Greenville up at Kinnett Stadium last night. However, that game got postponed. They didn't really get the game off. They had a lightning delay, and they decided to cancel the game that night. So they're going to be playing at a different time. And Hardaway went up to Atlanta and dropped a game to Booker T. Washington by a score of 7-2. Don't forget, Thrip Erridge and I will be on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show this Sunday night. We will be dropping our rankings. We will tell you where we're going to be for Week 3. It's going to be exciting action. I know that we're trying to fight off the weather. We've got 4 incredible games. Let's take it back to DJ Jones and Thrift Behringer at A.J. McClung Memorial Stadium for the 63rd Annual Heritage Bowl. Take it away, guys. And good evening and welcome to the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Halftime Update Scoreboard Show with Richard Holdridge. And we are presented by the Beck Center, a center for academic and athletic excellence. I want to thank Roger Beck for allowing us to do this halftime show. We are at the half at the 63rd Annual Heritage Bowl, and Carver leads Spencer 28-0 as they got a scoop and score right before the half. It has been dominant by a defensive performance by Tristan Givens, who's got a sack, Zach Watts with a touchdown run, and the Carver Tigers trying to continue their win streak against the Spencer Green Wave. Spencer has not won a Heritage Bowl contest since 2017. There was a little bit of a lightning delay. This was a 7 o'clock start. That's why we're now just going to the half, and they are going to get ready to start the third quarter in the Heritage Bowl. Some of the other action around the area up at Callaway Stadium. In fact, this is the first time that Georgia-Alabama Sports Live has made an appearance at Callaway Stadium. Troup County leads Harris County by a score of 21-0 as they get ready to start the third quarter. Up at Rams Stadium in Valley, Alabama, Glenwood trailing Valley 20-0. Glenwood had a goal line situation. Trey Clarity could not convert the fourth down. The Valley defense comes up big and they currently lead the Glenwood Gators 20-0, trying to avenge that loss when they lost to Glenwood in the opener down at Glenwood 21-20 last season. They've started the third quarter at Diemel Field, where the Pacelli Vikings trying to get their first victory of the season, and they lead Tattnall Square by a score of 14-6. And Pacelli trying to get their first win of the season, first win for Coach Smitty Grider. And I was actually at Diemel Field. That place is electric. A lot of fans there, as that is just up the road from where we are here at the Beck Center. The Brookstone Cougars, 20 unanswered points. They were down 17-3 in this game to Valwood. They now lead 23-17. And what a comeback by Ian Headley's bunch after the momentum carrying over from the big win against Tattnall Square last week at Mack Strong Stadium, 49-6, traveling on the road to Valdosta to take on a tough Valwood team that was a runner-up in 3A in the GIAA. Russell County got 14 unanswered points as they currently lead Carroll 14-7 rather. And Bryson Riggins, his senior year, had 40 touchdowns last year. Russell County just trying to get a big win in the opener before they travel to Eufaula next week before their opener at home on September the 5th. And it is all Bremen in this one against the Jordan Red Jackets. Tough matchup on the road for Coach Aaron McDaniel's bunch in their first game of the season. They currently trail 56-0. And let's take a look at some of the action that happened yesterday. You saw it on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. The Smith Station Panthers are 1-0 for the first time since 2019. Coach Blair Harrison picks up his first victory as the Panthers head coach, and he took on his former team. As Smith Station is 1-0, they host Valley next week at TC Britton Field, Panther Stadium. Shaw goes to 0-2. They will take on Athens Academy next week. And the Kendrick Cherokees, 2-0 for the first time since 2014. Coach Emmanuel Mayo Brown's bunch defeated Best Academy 13-8 after defeating the Walker School last week. Now they go on the road to take on Crawford County in Roberta, and this was a team that beat Kendrick at Kinnett Stadium last year. Some other games of note, Columbus was supposed to play Greenville, but this game got postponed because of the lightning delay up at Kinnett Stadium. And Hardaway, 0-2 on the season. They fell to Booker T. Washington last night up in Atlanta by a score of 7-2. Calvary Christian is on a bye after beating Terrell County last week. Braxton Wilkerson with 5 touchdown passes. Their home opener will be next Friday against Mount DeSales. And then Northside is also on a bye, 1-0 on the season. They will be on the road in Noonan, Georgia to take on Northgate next week. Be sure to watch all the games on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We've got a slate of 4 games that are getting ready to start the second half. It has been a blast. This is the Georgia Alabama Sports Live scoreboard halftime update. Now let's go ahead and send it back to DJ Jones and Thrift Behringer at A.J. McClung Memorial Stadium for the 63rd Annual Heritage Bowl. Take it away, guys. And good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Georgia Alabama Sports Live halftime update show with Richard Holdridge, as we are presented by the Beck Center. I want to thank Roger Beck for allowing us to be in this incredible facility, the Center for Academic and Athletic Excellence. We're at the half at Rams Stadium. It is all Valley Rams as they lead the Glenwood Gators 20-0. Glenwood had a chance to get on the board right at the goal line, but the Valley defense stops Trey Clarity on a fourth down. And so now Glenwood's going to have to make adjustments if they want to try to get back in this game. Valley trying to avenge that loss from last year when they were down 20-0, or when they were up 20-0, and Glenwood ended up winning that game by 1. So Glenwood, they got a tough task, but they just need to make adjustments as they are currently at the half. We just got ready to start the third quarter in the 63rd Annual Heritage Bowl as DJ Jones and Thrift Behringer on the call at A.J. McClung Memorial Stadium. I do want to make a score update. I did say 28-0 at the half. Found out that touchdown, that scoop and score that Carver thought they had right before they about to go to the half, it got negated. The officials looked at it. It was an incomplete pass and not a fumble. And so they took the points off the board, and Carver currently leads Spencer 21-0 at the half. I mean, still a dominant defensive performance by the Carver Tigers, a sack by Tristan Givens, Zach Watts with a touchdown run, and Sebastian Hurd has looked poised. He's been able to take off under pressure. Elijah Fudge for Spencer hasn't really gotten anything offensively because that Carver defense has been solid. But Spencer has an opportunity to make adjustments. They're only down by 3 scores. They've got to just chip away at this lead as Carver, they want to try to get that shutout. The defense was so dominant last year, they want to continue getting that defense to step up when it matters the most. And what a performance by the Carver Tigers here in this Heritage Bowl. This is Jarvis Jones' first year as the coach in his first Heritage Bowl. And so we'll be excited to see what the second half brings you as Thrift Behringer and DJ Jones on the call. And they're actually getting ready to kick off the second half. As there was a little bit of a lightning delay. This was a game that started at 7 o'clock, but they had a little bit of a delay. That's why they went to the half a little bit later in the night. But they're going to try to finish this game out without having any more disruptions. Also, Callaway Stadium, the first time that Georgia Alabama Sports Live has made an appearance at Callaway Stadium up in LaGrange as Troup County. We do have a score update, as I'll go ahead and update that score for you. Troup County now leads Harris County by a score of 28-0. It has just been a dominant performance by Coach Tanner Glisson's bunch, and Garrison Edwards has been fantastic. The Troup County defense has not been able to give Harris County anything, as both teams 1-0, trying to go to 2-0, and Troup County off to a great start. Harris County, actually, they play Carver next week, so it doesn't get any easier for the Harris County Tigers as they are taking on their longtime rival. In the third quarter of the Pacelli Tattnall game, this game is at Diemel Field, and the Pacelli Vikings lead 14-6 as Dave Plata and Austin Allen are on the call in that game. The big comeback of the night, the Brookstone Cougars were down 17-3 to Valwood, and they scored 20 unanswered points to take a 23-17 lead over Valwood down in Valdosta, as Valwood is the runners-up in the GIAA 3A. Brookstone, after getting a big win over Tattnall Square last week, trying to go to 2-0, and they're off to a good start, and they just got to keep up that momentum. How about the Russell County Warriors? They were down 7-0 to Carroll in this game. 21 unanswered points to take a 21-7 lead down in Ozark, Alabama, as Russell County trying to go to 1-0 before they have a tough opponent next week when they have to take on the Eufaula Tigers on the road. And up in Bremen, Jordan is trailing Bremen 56-0. It is all Bremen in this contest, and not a way to start if you're Jordan. They will open at home next week against Chattahoochee County. So they will have their home opener. And Jordan just trying to get their first win of the season. They have not won a game since 2020, but Coach McDaniel is continuing to improve the program. He knew it was going to be a tough task to play a very talented Bremen squad on the road. Let's take a look at some of the action that happened yesterday. You saw it here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. There was a little bit of a lightning delay in the beginning and in the middle of the game, but the Smith Station Panthers get a huge win over the Shaw Raiders. 1-0 for the first time since 2019. Congratulations to Coach Blair Harrison, as he is 1-0 as the Smith Station head coach. And Smith Station defeats Shaw, which is now 0-2. This was an emotional win for Coach Harrison, facing his former team, the team he was the athletic director and head coach for. And for the Smith Station program, they have a chance to go 2-0 as they host Valley next week at TC Britton Field Panther Stadium, as they want to try to go to 2-0 before they have to face Central in the backyard brawl. And how about the Kendrick Cherokees? 2-0 for the first time since 2014 as they defeat Best Academy by a score of 13-8. They will travel to Roberta next week to take on Crawford County, and they would love to be 3-0 before they start region play. Don't forget, join myself and Thrift Behringer on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show this Sunday night, where we are going to drop our rankings and we will tell you where we're going to be for week 3. Now back to the action. Noah Shelton, Mike Frost, take it away at Rams Stadium. Enjoy the second half, and we'll see you next time. And welcome to the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Halftime Update Scoreboard Show with Richard Holdridge, presented by the Beck Center. We want to thank Roger Beck for allowing us to be here, Center for Academic and Athletic Excellence, as we are currently at the half between Glenwood and, as we got trying to get this updated, Glenwood and Valley. There we go. Glenwood and Valley, and right now, Valley is leading Glenwood by a score of 20-0, as I'm going to go ahead and get that score update for that. Glenwood trailing Valley 20-0 up at Ram Stadium is Noah Shelton, and Mike Frost is on the call up in Valley, Alabama. They got 7 minutes to go in the third quarter in the 63rd Annual Heritage Bowl, and the Carver Tigers leading the Spencer Green Wave by a score of, it's now 27-0. As I went ahead and updated that score, Carver has the ball. One note, they had a scoop and score that looked like they were gonna go up 28-0 at the half, but it got called back because it was an incomplete pass rather than a fumble. And we've got Troup County, Harris County up at Callaway Stadium, third quarter action. It is all Troup here in this game as they currently lead 35-0 as they are trying to go to 2-0 after getting impressive victories over Villa Rica, and now they're trying to close out this game against their longtime rival. And in the third quarter, we've got the Pacelli Vikings that are trying to get their first win of the season as they are taking on Tattnall, and they currently lead 20-6 as they're trying to get their first home win and first win of the season for first-year coach Smitty Grider. Now let's take a look at the other action around the area. Brookstone leads Valwood 30-23. This was a game that they were down 17-3 in this game, and they came out with 20 unanswered points, and they have got the lead there. Brookstone trying to go to 2-0, taking on a very tough Valwood team down in Valdosta this evening. Russell County was down 7-0 in this game, but they came back at 21 unanswered points, and Russell County leads at the half 21-7 over Carroll. Russell County will take on Eufaula next week. And this game, it's tough having to play a tough team on the road. Jordan is trailing Bremen. It was 56-0. That score is now 70-0 as Jordan, they do host Chattahoochee County at home next week, and then they host Terrell County at home, trying to get their first win since 2020. And hopefully, this could be a lesson learned. When you face a tough team on the road, 70-0. I mean, Bremen has just been head and shoulders above everybody else tonight. It's just been their night. And Jordan just not getting the breaks that they need in this game. All right, yesterday you saw it on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. How about Coach Blair Harrison getting the win as his coaching debut for the Smith Station Panthers? Smith Station is 1-0 for the first time since 2019. In Smith Station, they will take on Valley next week at TC Britton Field, Panther Stadium. Meanwhile, Shaw is 0-2, and they will take on Athens Academy. And then finally, how about those Kendrick Cherokees? 2-0 for the first time since 2014 as they defeated Best Academy 13-8 as Kendrick travels to Roberta to take on Crawford County next week before they take on Sumter County back at home. And the Kendrick Cherokees have been looking fantastic under second-year coach Emmanuel Mayo Brown. We had Columbus and Greenville that was supposed to play. This game is going to get moved to another date because of inclement weather. They did have a lightning delay, and they just could not get the game through. And then Hardaway loses to Booker T. Washington on the road. by a score of 7-2. And so I don't have a graphic for any of these, but I do want to say, as I get that thing updated, all right, I do want to say next week is going to be a fantastic slate of games. We cannot say what games we're going to be at. You're going to have to find out on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show. Thrip Behringer and I, Sunday night, we're going to drop our rankings, and we're also going to tell you where we're going to be for the show. Meanwhile, another score update. Sebastian Hurd ends up throwing a fade route in the back of the end zone, and Carver now leads 34-0. There is 5:48 left to go in the first quarter. Brookstone leading Valwood 37-23. I'll go ahead and I'll get these scores updated for you. Jordan has scored a touchdown. They trail 70-6 over Bremen. So we'll go ahead and stay tuned. We're going to keep this live stream open because I'm going to have a special post-game wrap-up. I'm going to try to give you all the score updates you possibly can get here. So enjoy the rest of the games. Have a great night. We're going to go ahead and send it back to Noah Shelton and Mike Frost at Rams Stadium. Take it away, guys, and enjoy the second half. And welcome back to the Beck Center here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. This will be the post-game wrap-up show, as all the games that you have watched tonight are in the fourth quarter. Some are in the third quarter. Glenwood just got a touchdown, and they now trail 20-7. Let's go ahead and get those scores updated for you, as we have got Glenwood up at Ram Stadium. They currently trail Valley by a score of 20-7. Let's flip that score around, because that's the wrong score. 20-7, as Glenwood trying to get a stop. They're still in it, and Valley just broke off a big run. There's 4:19 left to go in the third quarter. Glenwood trailing Valley by a score of 20-7. We do have a score update in the Heritage Bowl, as the Carver Tigers. This game is now in the fourth quarter, and Carver, they have dominated in this game 42-0, and Zach Watts has been outstanding. Sebastian Hurd, they have really done a great job trying to go to 2-0. Carver will end up taking on Harris County next week. Spencer will be on the road to take on Lovett, which is a private school in Atlanta. This game about to go final, as Pacelli leads Tattnall. I'm going to say that's going to be a final, because they're about to wrap this one up at Diemel Field. Pacelli, first win of the season under first-year coach Smitty Grider. Pacelli wins this one 28-6 over Tattnall Square to go to 1-1 on the season. And congratulations to the Pacelli Vikings. Oh, we got ourselves a barn burner over in Valdosta. Brookstone and Valwood all knotted up at 37 apiece. Valwood had a 17-3 lead. Brookstone came back, and it's been back and forth we go, as this is going to go down to the wire. Russell County, a close game against Carroll. They lead Carroll 21-13. So, let me go ahead and update that score. It is now 21-13. In fact, this game is in the fourth quarter. So, we're going to go ahead and update that score. It is a final up in Bremen. The Jordan Red Jackets fell, their first loss of the season, to Bremen 70-7. And then we've got some other scores to let's go ahead and get it back over to Carver Spencer, trying to get a score update on that. Thrift Behringer, DJ Jones on the call for that one on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Don't forget that we are going to drop our rankings Sunday night, and it is going to be a shakeup in the Chattahoochee Valley. Who's going to be number one? Oh, probably going to be Carver. Score update on that one. Carver leads Spencer by a score of 48-0. Wow. What a dominant performance. So they put up 51 against Whitewater last week and 48 this week against the Spencer Green Wave. So a great job there by the Carver Tigers. Harris County, Troup County, I think this is about to go final. We'll try to get an update on that. It has been all Troup County in this one. Troup County, Harris County. I'm going to try to get a score update on that one. Right now, 3:03 left to go. Glenwood trailing Valley by a score of 20-7. All right, so let's go ahead and get that Troup County, Harris County game, as that is up at Callaway Stadium. It's actually the first time that we have been up to Callaway Stadium. And it looks like that has gone final. So Troup County Troup County defeats Harris County by a score of 42-0 to go to 2-0 on the season. Harris County falls to 1-1. They will take on the Carver Tigers next week. That's going to be at Otis Spencer Stadium, and one of the biggest games of the year. Let's take a look at some Thursday night action. Smith Station defeated Shaw 24-0. and it was the first win for Coach Blair Harrison as Smith Station 1-0 for the first time since 2019. The Kendrick Cherokees end up defeating Best Academy 13-8 as they are 2-0 for the first time in over a decade. They have not been 2-0 since 2014. And then we also had Hardaway lose to Washington 7-2, and then Columbus and Greenville is going to get rescheduled. They didn't even get that game off. And then we also have Calvary Christian on a bye. They're going to take on Mount DeSales next week. And Northside is going to be taking on Northgate next week. So with that being said, I do want to talk a little bit about the schedule coming up for week 3. So Thursday night, we've got Greenville and Hardaway. And then we've got Chatco and Jordan. Those are the Thursday night games. Friday night games, Columbus is hosting Randolph Clay. Valley is going to TC Britton Field at Panther Stadium to take on Smith Station. And Brookstone hosting Mount Vernon. Calvary in their home opener hosting Mount DeSales Academy. Carver is hosting Harris County at Otis Spencer Stadium. It's Northside and Northgate. Kendrick on the road taking on Crawford County. Shaw is on the road taking on Athens Academy. Spencer on the road taking on Lovett. Pacelli on the road taking on FPD. And Glenwood is hosting Elba. Oh, and Russell County is on the road taking on Eufaula. So we got a pretty good slate of games. The Columbus Cleanstones, they defeated the Pensacola Blue Wahoos 3-2. We did receive word that Chris Sale will not be starting at Synovus Park, that he is going to actually do his rehab start in AAA. Gwinnett is actually, they're on the road. He's going to have a start in Memphis. NFL preseason, the Dallas Cowboys leading the Atlanta Falcons 24-10. Let's take it over to golf, because Columbus's own Russell Henley in the second round of the Tour Championship, he's tied on top of the leaderboard with Fleetwood. I think, Tommy Fleetwood. They're both tied at 13 under par as Russell Henley trying to win the Tour Championship in East Lake. We wish him the best of luck. We know that we root for him because he is a Columbus native. These games in high school, we still got Glenwood going on. Carver has got another quarter because they had a lightning delay. Stay tuned for the GIAA show. That is going to be at 11 o'clock. Because of the delay that they had at Carver Spencer, I may be getting the link to Thrift virtually, but we will try to get that GIAA show out there for you. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and sign off on the broadcast. We're going to keep that scoreboard up until the final game ends. That's what I want to try to do. Somebody mentioned to me last week, well, you should have a post-game wrap-up. Well, I mean, I'm here in the studio anyway. I think that sounds like a great idea. So we're going to keep that scoreboard up. Make sure you like us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to drop where we're going to be, and we're going to drop our rankings on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show on Sunday. So that should be a lot of fun, and we will see you next time.